We're in our third day of science. We're talking about pollination. And what does that mean, boys and girls? What does pollination mean? Great. And we've been talking about pollinators. Pollinators. We've talked about bees, right? We talked about other things that might pollinate our flowers. Can you think about what that could be? Butterflies, moths, flies. What we're thinking of, boys and girls, are insects that can fly from flower to flower or plant to plant. What else do you know could be a pollinator? I'll tell you. Have you ever seen a hummingbird? Yes, hummingbirds are great pollinators, boys and girls. Hummingbirds like to look for the tube-shaped flowers so they can stick down and get the nectar out, but they go so fast and everywhere that they travel to lots and lots of flowers to pollinate. In your science folder, you have a pollination scavenger hunt, okay? And on that are two copies of the same thing. That's because you're going to do it with your mom or dad or with someone, and you're going to see who can find the most. Who can find the most pollinators? That's right. That'll be a fun game to play with someone at your house when we're at home. And on the next page is a place for you to write about your adventure. Where did you go? What did you see? Was there anything funny that happened? Did anything scare you? Did you notice something new that you've never seen? That's what you're going to be working on when you do your scavenger hunt with someone in your family. And Miss Miranda is going to do the same thing. She's going to have a scavenger hunt with her family and see who can find the most things. Now, let's go back to the bee for a minute. Did you know the bee is a life cycle? That's right. Just like we talked about the seed being a life cycle, the bee is a life cycle. It's the egg. Then from the egg comes the larva, which looks like a little tiny worm. After the larva, it becomes the pupa, which is like a baby bee, and then the adult bee. So it's a cycle. It goes around and around, just like other things that we've learned about. Now, some of you might say, well, Miss Miranda, what's the difference in bees and wasps? Because we see those, right? We see those outside, especially right now when everything's blooming and flowering and everything smells so yummy outside because everything is growing. Well, bees and wasps are similar, but they're also a little different too. Can you guess how many different kinds of bees there are? There are over 20,000 different kinds of bees in the world. And there are also thousands of kinds of wasps. And wasps are relatives to bees. Hornets and Yellowjackets are two kinds of wasps. Now, we talked about bees loving to eat pollen and nectar, right, boys and girls? Well, guess what? Wasps, like hornets and yellowjackets, are carnivores. So no, they don't eat hamburger meat or chicken like we do, but they do eat other insects, boys and girls, so they are helpful to us as well. Wasps are related to bees. Most wasps lead solitary lives. The mud dauber is a solitary wasp that makes her nest out of saliva and mud. Now, she's a carnivore. Guess what she likes to eat? Spiders. That's right. Mud daubers don't kill their spider. They paralyze it, then they bring it back to their pupa and they feed it to them. So the babies are eating them when the spider is still alive. So it's helpful. She's getting spiders that could harm us. Now, other wasps are kind of social. Social wasps build their nests out of paper. To start a colony, a queen chews plants and wood, and then she shapes the mixture into separate cells for her eggs. So did you hear that? That's kind of cool. She chews plants and wood, and then she shapes it to make the cells for her eggs. The mixture dries into a papery material. When the egg hatch, it makes a larva, or sometimes they look like grubs. And the queen feeds them, guess what? Insects. So they are carnivores too. 10 days later, the grubs have turned into worker wasps, and the workers collect food and add to the nest as the colony grows. So here's the queen. The wasp has a queen, and she is laying eggs in each cell. Isn't that neat, boys and girls? Now, hornets and yellowjackets are also social wasps. Yellowjackets may put their nest almost anywhere in the ground, against a fence or hanging from a tree. Hornets often build their nests in trees, but sometimes they choose nesting places that offer more shelter. Some nests are very large and they contain thousands of hornets. So inside the papery circle on the outside are all those little tiny cells where the queen is going and laying her eggs. And then guess what? The carnivores are feeding the babies. Bees and wasps are fascinating insects. And the bee family is also very helpful to people. Honeybees give us honey and wax. Wasps kill many insects that are harmful to humans, like the yellowjacket. They kill insects that may harm us. So it's better, boys and girls, for us to just look and step back. Not try to harm the nature that we see, but just step back. So you have a fun time on your scavenger hunt. Illustrate and write about it. Then you have another activity, and it's called building a honeycomb. Miss Miranda printed some things for you to create your own honeycomb, and I want you to illustrate your your bees, and then if you want to, Miss Miranda has a science notebook in here. This is where you can illustrate and draw your bees or your wasps or your different kinds of insects. You can try drawing different pollinators after you find them. You have a science notebook to do that. So you have a fun time learning all about bees and wasps, boys and girls, and I'll see you next time.